Live chats. My name's Jack McLean. I am the host. We are committed to empowering Australian rules footballers with elite strength and conditioning systems and empowering developing strength and conditioning coaches to best practice physical preparation methods. Today I'll be debriefing last week's live chats with Matt Ferrara and Dylan Shiel, announcing our upcoming live chats for next week, as well as the podcast recordings on iTunes and Spotify on Tuesday and Friday. You can expect those episodes discussing our 2K time trial program, specifically improving your aerobic capacity for 2K time trial performance that starts on October 4th. And of course, answering any questions you send my way. So if you've got a question, head to our YouTube channel to watch this live chat and send through your questions via the chat. I'm happy to answer any questions around your athlete development for football. And let's dive into today's episode. So this week, firstly, for those that are like to watch the Prepare Like a Pro live chats, we have Gavin Bell, the head of development at West Coast Eagles. He's worked at West Coast for the last 14 years, began a development coach focusing on young midfield players initially, and since 2013, he shifted his focus to overseeing and managing the performance and development of clubs, players, coaches, and leaders. So he's a true leader in the field, has a wealth of experience and knowledge, and I'm really looking forward to that live chat. Like all our live chats, you can watch that on YouTube. We'll be streaming live at 8:30 p.m. next Thursday. I'll send out a reminder on our Instagram on Wednesday to make sure that you guys tune in for that, which will be no doubt an awesome chat, and really looking forward to sharing Gavin's story. In terms of our podcast recordings next week, we have Jess Spenlove, who's had a wealth of experience across a lot of different elite sporting environments over the last 10 years. And her episode on the Prepare Like a Pro podcast will launch on Tuesday. We have Sean Potter, the high performance manager of the Tasmanian Devils program, and that will release on Friday.
To these high level people that I really look up to, like Rocky Wilmot. Dylan Shiel.
We also have a free program for those that picked the winner for the grand final yesterday. So you got a 2-week program that I'll set you guys up to tonight. So for those listening live, that's Sunday night. If you're listening to this podcast Monday or any of the recording, any time that you're listening in the podcast world, head over to your Instagram direct message where I'll hook you up with a link for that 2-week program. So you should expect a message from me there. For those that picked the first goal, Petrarca, you get a 4-week, and there was a couple that picked the Norm Smith Petrarca, which is a 3-month program where you'll improve your athlete development, particularly your 2K time trial, sprint, and vertical leap. All right, let's debrief last week's chat. So we had Matt Ferrara, who's the head of rehabilitation of North Melbourne. He's just finished. He was there for 7 years, working through the VFL and AFL space. He also talked about his experience at the Collingwood Football Club while he was doing his degree. He reached out to Martin, who was the head of strength at one of the lectures, and talked about the importance for developing S&Cs to make sure to put yourself out there and even while you're doing your degree to try and get your hands dirty and get experience, and how that really set himself up for understanding where he wanted to go with his career. He showed a real love and passion for the environment, and that popped up numerous times over our chat. And yeah, it was a really good interview, particularly for developing S&Cs that want to work in elite sport. He talked about the importance of following your dreams and your passion. Early days, he thought that was physio, and he actually undertook his physio degree. But then after speaking to a few mentors and influencers, he recognised that his strength was more the coaching side of things. So he shifted his degree towards high performance in sport and completed his master's in high performance, and found that was the right decision for him. So if you're developing S&C, which I know a lot of you are that listen to the podcast, this is a great one to tune in for. You can watch the recording on our YouTube channel, and you just go to the Prepare Like a Pro live chats playlist, and Matthew Ferrara's episode is in there. In terms of podcast, we'll launch that in middle of November, I believe. It will be released, so you'll be able to listen to that on iTunes and Spotify and all your podcast directories there. Thursday last week, we had Dylan Shiel on the podcast, another amazing episode. Really appreciate Dylan, for coming on. He was open and honest all the way through about the highs and lows of elite sport and the pressure that comes with the game and being recruited at such a young age. He was one of the 12 that was recruited at 17 years old. And he was playing at Caulfield Grammar at the time, and one of the recruiters was watching one of his games and mentioned to him and his parents after the game to pack his bags and get ready and move to Sydney. So he had to grow up pretty quick. He talked about that. He talked about the pressure of the environment and perfectionism and how that can play on your mind and you can overcomplicate the little things, and how, as he's matured over his career, he talked about he's kept a simple approach over the last few years with his preparation, the importance of sleep. He talked about nutrition, that it's not all about pushing your body every day, all day. You want to be your best. And he talked about, performing at a high level, but how recovery plays a part in that, both mental and physical. He had quite a holistic approach in his preparation, talking about the work that he does with Mark McGrath, and he had an analogy that from an athletic point of view, if you're a car and your mechanics are coming down, that's almost like having a trailer at the back of your car. It's going to slow you down. Doesn't matter how strong the power of your engine is, which I think is a good message for developing footballers, particularly those that are coming up to the combine and you might want to have that feeling of you're not doing enough. He said, trust the process. If he had his time again, he would want to do less. And he referenced Archie Perkins and Nick Cox, how the year of COVID, of their draft year in 2019, 2020, meant that they couldn't play as much footy. They couldn't do all the games that you do in those athlete pathways coming through, but it actually allowed them to be a clean canvas coming into the system. Their bodies weren't beat up. Dylan talked about how he had like a navicular injury. He knew Jono Patton, who was at GWS, the same draft year as him, had patella tendonitis issues. So there was a lot of guys around his draft age, around that period, where they were working too hard and playing. He played over 30 competitive games in his draft year, and he felt like that was a detriment to his development. So he referenced Archie Perkins and Nick Cox, how they transitioned into the program and it was better for their bodies, and they were able to get more out on the track by starting with less work and building their way into it. So I thought that was really impactful for developing footballers. He also talked about anxiety and dealing with that leading up to a game, performance anxiety, and how he manages that, and how it was about 7 years into his career before mindfulness started at GWS, and how appreciative the squad was for that, and how that's really shifted his own game and taking the pressure off. He said, you're still going to have pressure, and stress is good in your life to allow you to grow, but ultimately you need to be able to manage and cope with it. And if you're not having fun and not enjoying it, then you're not going to love the game. So yeah, it was a fantastic chat with Dylan. Like Matt Ferraro's one, if you want to watch that episode and you missed the live chat, head to our YouTube channel, Prepare Like a Pro. The link will be in the show notes of this podcast, and you can watch the full episode there. In terms of next week, guys, we've got Gavin Bell next Thursday at 8:30 p.m. So make sure to pencil that one in. Head of development at West Coast Eagles. We have Jess Spenlove, which is going to be our podcast recording on Tuesday. That will be released. So that's the GWS dietitian. She's worked across a whole range of elite sports over the last decade, and she has her own health and fitness business as well. So sports dietitian, she's super knowledgeable, provides some practical tips for developing footballers, but also people managing their own business, which is something that Jess does. So that's a great episode. Make sure to tune in on that one on Tuesday. And Friday, we have Sean Potter, who's the high performance manager of the Tasmanian Devils. That episode will be released Friday morning. You can listen to that on your Spotify, iTunes, and anywhere that you listen to your podcast. We talked about his journey in strength and conditioning, both doing his sports science degree and his master's, but also working under some mentors and influences, and the importance of having mentors and influences to help guide you along your career. So for the S&Cs listening, make sure to tune in. And he also provided some tips and tricks that they're doing in the Tasmanian program and the NAB League, and how helpful it is for developing footballers in Tassie to have that service and offering. So make sure to tune in for that one. Here's a short little testimonial from one of our Academy members, Troy Jones.
Hey, my name's Troy. I'm one of the Prepare Like a Pro Academy members. Would highly recommend anyone that's interested in getting into strength and conditioning, or just a player that's wanted to up their game to jump on the academy. It's been such a good investment for me, especially as a beginning strength and conditioning coach. Jack has a heap of experience at the highest of levels, and he's got a great knowledge of strength and conditioning, especially regarding footballers. The guests that he gets on at the top of their fields are at such a high level, and he really allows me to interact with them and ask questions and find out information that's really beneficial for me. So without the academy, I wouldn't have been able to speak to these high level people that I really look up to, like Lockie Wilmot and Dylan Shiel. So I think it's a very worthwhile investment. It's been great for me, and would highly recommend it for anyone else.
Thank you, Troy. Really appreciate the feedback, and glad you're getting a lot out of the academy. For anyone that's interested in joining our academy like Troy, you're a strength and conditioning coach or a footballer, and you want access to our presentations on our store for free, you want access to our Discord group where I announce our upcoming guests, and you can come onto the podcast like Troy mentioned and ask the guest questions directly, head to our website, preparelikeapro.com. There's a whole page about our academy. It's a Patreon subscription service, and ultimately it will help your development as a coach and as a footballer. And for the podcast world, I'm happy to throw in a free consultation with myself. For the coaches, we'll talk about your career and your goals and your ambitions and any way that I can help with that. And for the footballers out there, we can talk about strength and conditioning and anything that you're doing in the gym, maybe structure a bit of a goal setting if that's something you're interested in. But throughout that Zoom session, we can discuss what you want to do with your football, where you're going, and what you're doing to get better. So if you're interested in that, all you need to do is email me, jack@preparelikeapro.com. In the subject heading, just write Podcast Academy, and I'll send you the information, and that will also remind me to give you a free consultation via Zoom. So thank you for tuning in to Prepare Like a Pro Live Chat Sunday show. If you have any questions, hit us up on direct message via Instagram or email us at info@preparelikeapro.com. Thanks, guys. I'll see you during the week.
If anyone's thinking about joining the Prepare Like a Pro Academy, I definitely recommend it. Ever since I've joined it a few months ago, I feel so much more motivated, more fitter, more stronger, more supported as well. Some of the things he gets you doing is great for building up your capacity, muscle mass, injury prevention, everything you could need that you wouldn't even think of if you were making up your own plan. So Jackie's a nice fellow. He knows what he's doing. If you just flick him a message, he'll get you set up, no worries. Might even get you onto a few giveaways, a few free trials. Yeah, I definitely recommend it.
Jack here. Just a quick video on what we do here at Prepare Like a Pro. We are a strength and conditioning business that works specifically with footballers. What we're trying to do here at Prepare Like a Pro is connect AFL standard training to everyone. So you can follow those programs by working with a coach or by following our app, which is an online program. Thanks again for following, and looking forward to helping you along your journey.